Hey, everybody, Patrick Varano here. I am the president of Emory Leadership Group. I'm the host of the podcast Learning from Leaders and now the author of the book, The Leadership Bridge. And welcome to day one of the Leadership Bridge Awareness Week. And I thought I'd kick this off again. I've just had the book go out on a pre-launch, and I thought I'd give some insight as to really how the book came about. And it goes back quite some time. I jokingly say that at 22, I had my first management role right out of school that I failed miserably. And what I learned quickly was that a 4-year degree, a 6-month training program, and a title were not the things that inspired other people to follow my lead. And the only thing that I really can say that I had a great impact on at that point was I lost half of my staff, and our theft rate went up considerably in the short time that I was there. And I learned quickly after leaving that organization that there was much more to this. And I would say that I've been obsessed with trying to identify and understand what is it that creates an environment where people want to follow somebody's lead. And I've also had the good fortune of working for 4 global organizations and being involved in their leadership development programs before going off on my own. And there was one thing that I always found missing, or a couple things really, is one is that oftentimes the leadership development really didn't focus a lot on the individual, right, first. And secondly, I felt didn't focus really on what were the needs of the follower. What was it that was going to inspire somebody want to follow my lead? And that's really part of what the leadership bridge is all about. And the book, it's how to create an environment where there is employee engagement that also drives organizational excellence. And the book is broken up really into 3 different stages of building this bridge is what we're trying to do. But the first part of this bridge is building the bridge within ourselves. It's all about building self-awareness through different things that I've really been trained on and have implemented in my own work, a lot around emotional intelligence and personality, and also a lot around strategies on how do we create happiness and well-being for ourselves. Because my belief, my experience, my observation is that if I'm not in a good place myself, if I'm not happy with who I am, it's very difficult for me to be there for other people. And I would say almost impossible to be fully effective as a leader. If I'm going to inspire other people, I better know how to inspire myself first. So that's really the piece that I wanted to talk about today. The next piece of this, the bridge that we'll talk about later on in the week, is around building a bridge with others. What are the things that create that environment where we build a strong bridge with our followers? And then the last component of this is then once we've built the bridge with ourselves, we've built the bridge with those that follow us or report to us, how do we then help them to build their bridges? All 3 of those I think are really valuable and important here. So the first part of this bridge that we talk about, though, is how do we build a better bridge with ourselves? And again, I look over, especially over the last 2 years, the amount of stress that people have been under, the pressure, the isolation that I think has been really very negative in terms of how we interact with each other. So in this book, what I talk about, just one component of it is a lot of research behind what creates well-being, what creates happiness. And there's a model that I developed that I use in this called POWER. And it's based on a lot of research that has been done prior by individuals like Sean Aker and others that really have explored how do we create happiness. So one of them is the 21-day happiness challenge that Sean Aker did back in the late 2000s. And it was based on 5 activities. And what I've done is I've created a journal that mirrors some of those activities called the Power Journal. And in that, we talk about what are the things that create well-being and happiness. What do we need to do? What activities can we do on a regular basis that are going to create that level of well-being and happiness with ourselves? And to me, that really is the most important thing that we need to do first. That's the first part of the bridge that we're going to build is internally. And we're going to lead from the inside out, is has been said before. So when we do that, first is around praise. That's the P in that power journal. And praise is about gratitude. So it's finding a time during the day. For me, preferably, I do it in the morning. Every morning when I wake up, I've got a journal that I keep, and the first thing I do is I write down 3 things that I'm grateful for every single morning. Um, and that starts to put me in a place of just better well-being. I start out my day in a place where even if there are things that I'm worried about during the day, those things get put aside for a minute because I'm going to focus on gratitude. It could be yesterday. I went to my daughter's lacrosse game, and then we came back and we hung out after that, late after the game with one of my other sons, Noah, and it was an opportunity for us to spend time together. So this morning I wrote that I was grateful for that. I was grateful for the time that I'm able to spend with my children and Cindy, my wife. It might be when I go out and walk the dog. I'm grateful for just the sounds of spring that are outside, the birds. There might be other things that are more have more weight to them, I would say, right? Maybe I'm grateful for the opportunities that I've been provided to do what I do. I'm grateful just to be able to wake up today and have another opportunity to make an impact, right? So that's the first thing. The next part of this power journal is about others, and it's about doing things for other people around us, right? Could be volunteer work. It could be um, something that I'm going to do today, that maybe I'm going to send somebody a note that I haven't talked to in a while. I'm going to send them a text. I'm going to call them to tell them, how much I've appreciated something they've done for me. Maybe I'm going to be going through the drive-through line and I'm going to buy coffee for the person behind me. Whatever it is, I'm going to do something for somebody else that I don't look to say, how does this have payback for me? It's about others. So the next thing that I'm going to do in this power journal is around writing. And what I'm going to do is, for me, at the end of the day, I'm going to write down 2 to 3 sentences. What went well for the day? What was it today that really was beneficial? And I think this is an important one, and one that often gets overlooked because, right, we might do the gratitude piece at the beginning of the day, but at the end of the day, I don't know about you, but there certainly are times where I'm thinking, what didn't I get done today? What challenges is going to be awaiting me tomorrow that I didn't get finished today? But when I can focus on what did go well, what was something that happened that was good today, it forces me to frame shift, to change my perspective on, there was something that went well today. If at the very least, maybe it's just I made it through the day and I'm happy for that. Whatever it is, you've got to find something, 2 to 3 sentences that you write down about what went well during the day. And I think that has a lot of benefit too in terms of how we go to sleep, because we know that that's when our body has an opportunity to really do its repair work. And if I go to bed in a place of well-being and gratitude, I, I would believe that I sleep better when that happens. So the next activity that we do in this power journal is around exercise. And in a lot of the research that's out there, it could be as little as 10 minutes a day that we need for exercise to really start to activate a lot of the neurochemicals that are in our body: dopamine, norepinephrine, serotonin, all things that are important to us in terms of regulating well-being. Now, there's research that I've used in the past that talks about exercise on a longer basis. So not hugely longer. You're not running marathons to be able to feel the impact of this. But it was a study that was done over a decade ago, and it was with patients that had been diagnosed with a major depressive episode. And what they looked at was 3 different groups that were in this study. One was exercise alone, and they worked out 4 days a week for 30 minutes a day. The next group worked out 4 days a week for 30 minutes a day, but they also took an antidepressant. And then the last group of this study took just the antidepressant. And what they found was 4 months later, all 3 groups had very similar rates of response or remission to their major depressive episodes. What's more interesting though is when they went out 10 months, they found that the exercise group alone had the highest rate of um, you know effectiveness in terms of not relapsing. And I think that's really important. Now, is that to say everybody that is on an antidepressant just stop and go exercise 4 days a week? No, but what it does demonstrate is the power that exercise has. So the last piece that we talk about in the Power Journal is around relaxation. And again, so much research that continues to come out in the areas of mindfulness, meditation, breathing exercises that we can do. And again, we're not talking about having to turn into yogis and learn how to levitate. This can be as simple as taking 2 minutes during the day and finding some quiet space where you just focus on breath for 2 minutes during the day. That's it, 2 minutes. Now, when you add up all of these things, the Power Journal, it takes less than an hour to do, and that's doing all of them. And in a lot of the research that's out there, these aren't things that you need to do every single day. There needs to be consistency over a period of time, but not every day. And certainly, I'm one that are there days that I've missed those? Yeah, but overall, these are things that have just become they've just become automatic for me. They're routines to what I do, and to the point that I almost feel that I've missed out on something when I'm not doing those things. So that's it. Those are 5 activities that we do. This Power Journal, I talk about it in the book on the Leadership Bridge. There's also a download that provides a PDF that people can get that goes over different activities that you can do for each of those. Really, I think to help prime the pump. If somebody's sort of like, I don't know what to think about gratitude. Well, there are different things that can sort of spark you there. Or I really don't know how to meditate or relax. Well, there are different exercises that you can do to help put you in that space of mindfulness or exercise or, um, volunteering. What things can you do? So there are different um, triggers, I think, that are put out there to help you activate this more easily. So that's it, right? But I do think that is so important, right? When we start to build the bridge within ourselves, those 5 activities, when they're done on a regular basis, provide an opportunity for us to feel better about who we are, right? Because in one of the trials that was done, or that study that I had mentioned, that experiment with Sean Aker, these were patient or individuals that had done this for 21 days. And 6 months later, those individuals self-reported themselves as being happier as a result of doing those activities. So I think there's great power in this. And again, as a leader, if I'm in a good place myself, um, I don't think I can not be positive toward those people that are around me. And I think that's so important because that's how we're going to look to positively build the next bridge, which is around a model that I use that's based on 6 well-researched behaviors that create a sense of engagement with those